There comes a moment in every believer's life when you can feel the weight of heaven shift. You sense it deep in your spirit, that subtle awareness that something has changed in the atmosphere. For months, maybe years, it seemed as though nothing was happening. You prayed until you had no more words. You sowed seeds of faith even when the soil around you felt dry. You stood firm when everything in your life was screaming, give up. You waited in the stillness, wondering if God had heard your cry. But I came to remind you today, your waiting season was never a waste. Every moment of silence was filled with divine activity. Every pause in your story was heaven preparing a greater reveal. God was not absent in your waiting. He was architecting something extraordinary behind the curtain of time. You see, when God takes his time, it's because he's building something that will last. He's not just interested in giving you blessings. He's interested in building you into a blessing. And that kind of development cannot be rushed. A tree that grows too fast breaks in the wind, but the one that grows deep roots can withstand any storm. Your waiting season was about roots. It was about depth. It was about God stretching your faith so that when the blessings arrive, you won't crumble under their weight. Waiting seasons refine you, mature you, and strengthen your character in ways comfort never could. They strip you of pride and self-reliance so that when your breakthrough comes, you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt it was God and God alone who did it. So many of us view waiting as punishment, but in truth, waiting is divine protection. There were people who weren't ready for your presence yet. There were doors that would have opened too soon, only to close on you in pain. There were blessings that could have become burdens if you received them prematurely. God loved you too much to let you self-destruct with success. He hid you in plain sight, not because you were unworthy, but because he was polishing your worth. He allowed you to be misunderstood, underestimated, even rejected, so he could prepare you for a level of influence that requires humility. You were not being delayed, you were being designed. Every time you asked, Lord, why not now? He whispered, because I'm still writing your story. Every no, every closed door, every detour, it all had purpose. Heaven's calendar doesn't run on human time. What looks like waiting to us is divine synchronization to God. While you were standing still, God was setting things in motion. He was preparing hearts, opening opportunities, aligning resources, and arranging divine connections in places you couldn't even see. When God finally releases you, everything will come together so seamlessly that it will be clear. Only divine orchestration could do this. Think about Joseph. He was anointed long before he was appointed. He had the dream long before he had the throne. The years in the pit and the prison weren't setbacks, they were setups. God was refining his character in private so he could trust him with influence in public. That's what waiting does. It purifies your motives, corrects your perspective, and sharpens your discernment. It teaches you the rhythm of heaven, the discipline of patience, and the beauty of divine timing. By the time God elevates you, you won't just have the blessing, you'll have the maturity to sustain it. Some of you have felt hidden, like the world moved on without you. You watch others rise, others get promoted, others receive opportunities that seemed meant for you. But God says, I hid you because your unveiling is coming with power. What took others years to achieve will happen swiftly for you because your foundation was built in faith. Waiting doesn't deny destiny, it preserves it. God was building endurance in you because where he's taking you requires stamina. He was stretching your capacity so that when the overflow comes, you won't break under the weight of it. And while you waited, heaven recorded every act of obedience, every silent prayer, every time you chose faith over fear. None of it went unnoticed. You may have felt forgotten, but you were engraved in the palm of his hand. You may have felt delayed, but God was just setting divine order in motion. You may have cried in the dark, But heaven was using those tears as the very ink to write your testimony. You were being seasoned for your assignment. Every disappointment was divine training. Every delay was a lesson in trust. Every unanswered prayer was God saying, I have something better. Your waiting season was a cocoon moment, uncomfortable, silent, and hidden, but necessary for transformation. The caterpillar doesn't understand why it's confined, why everything feels tight, why movement seems restricted. Yet, in that stillness, wings are forming. Strength is building. Identity is being redefined. The waiting room is where heaven develops wings for flight. And once those wings are ready, the very space that felt like confinement becomes your launching pad. God never intended for you to die waiting. He intended for you to leave prepared. So don't despise the waiting season. It's the place where purpose matures. It's where faith becomes sight in slow motion. It's where the whisper of God replaces the noise of impatience. And when the fullness of time comes, when heaven finally declares, now, you'll realize that nothing was wasted. Every delay was divine. Every silence sacred. Every struggle significant. Your waiting season was not punishment. It was prophecy in progress. And now that it's over, you'll look back and say, it had to happen that way, because what God has been preparing you for is far greater than what you've been praying for. Heaven's timing is not our timing, and yet it is always perfect. You see, delay in the kingdom does not mean denial. It means divine alignment. God moves according to purpose, not pressure. You may have been wondering why things haven't shifted when you wanted them to, why doors that should have opened remained shut, why promises that seemed so close slipped away. But God, in his infinite wisdom, has been synchronizing every second, every encounter, every test, and every triumph to unfold in the exact moment when it will bring him the most glory and you the most growth. His timing is not meant to frustrate you. It's meant to fortify you. Because when the fullness of time comes, nothing and no one will be able to stop what he has ordained. Sometimes God delays your deliverance because he's developing your discernment. He lets you walk through seasons where you can't see the way, just so you can learn to hear his voice. He lets you endure moments that feel like silence, so you'll discover that his presence isn't always loud. Sometimes it's still, sometimes it's a whisper, sometimes it's simply the peace that refuses to leave. God's timing teaches you to trust him beyond your senses. It teaches you to rest when everything inside you wants to rush. It teaches you that a paused promise is still a living promise. It hasn't died. It's just waiting for heaven's appointed hour. There are people who gave up too soon because they mistook delay for denial. They stepped out of the process right before their breakthrough was about to manifest. They walked away from the altar of transformation just moments before heaven's fire was about to fall. But not you. You have stayed faithful in the waiting. You've kept believing, even when believing felt like breaking. And that faith, that endurance, has become the currency of your next season. Heaven has seen it. The Spirit of God has recorded it. You have passed the test of timing, and now you're standing on the threshold of divine release. Think about Abraham. God promised him descendants that would outnumber the stars, yet years passed and nothing happened. Sarah grew older. Circumstances grew more impossible, but God never forgot. When it finally happened, it was clear. It wasn't human effort that made it possible. It was divine timing. God waited until it was beyond their control so that everyone would know it was his hand alone. That's what he's doing in your life. He waited until it was too late by human standards so that when he moves, the glory will not be shared. He's about to make the impossible undeniable. Heaven has been preparing a moment so miraculous that even your enemies will have to admit, surely the Lord has done this. Divine timing is about more than your readiness. It's about alignment. Sometimes the blessing is ready, but you're not. Other times you're ready, but the environment isn't. So God waits until every piece of the puzzle fits together perfectly. The right people, the right place, the right moment, all coming together like a divine symphony. You may not see it, but heaven's orchestra has been tuning behind the curtain. You've only heard the silence, but the silence has been sacred preparation for the sound that's about to erupt. Because when God says, now, everything that's been stuck will start moving at once. Doors that have been sealed shut will open effortlessly. Opportunities you thought were lost will reappear. What seemed delayed will come rushing toward you like a flood. Sometimes God withholds certain things because he's preparing to give you more than you asked for. You were praying for a door, but he was building a mansion. You were expecting a trickle, but he was preparing a river. You were waiting on a moment, but he was orchestrating a movement. That's why he told you to wait. He didn't want you to settle for less than the fullness of what he had planned. You thought the delay was denial, but it was enlargement. He had to expand your capacity before he could pour out the blessing. He had to break your limits so you could hold what's coming. Divine timing also protects you from counterfeit blessings, things that look right but aren't ordained. Sometimes the enemy will present you with an opportunity that looks like a shortcut to your promise. It feels good, it sounds right, but it's not aligned. And if you move prematurely, you'll forfeit the authenticity of God's best for the illusion of something easier. Waiting sharpens your spiritual eyesight so you can tell the difference between good and God, between temporary relief and permanent fulfillment. Because when God finally releases it, it will not come with confusion or compromise. It will come with peace and confirmation. There's a beauty in heaven's timing that we only understand in hindsight. The doors that didn't open before were never meant to, not because you weren't qualified, but because God was reserving you for something greater. That relationship that ended, that job that fell through, that opportunity that passed you by, all of it was protection disguised as delay. The same God who closed those doors is now the one unlocking the gates of your destiny. He's been waiting for the precise moment when the pieces of your story would align perfectly with his plan. And now that moment is approaching. The signs are shifting. The spiritual climate is changing. The atmosphere is pregnant with manifestation. So don't curse the timing. Don't despise the wait. Every second has been sacred. Every pause has been prophetic. God has been training you to trust his clock, not your calendar, because when his moment arrives, you won't need to chase what's yours. It will find you. The favor that's been forming will locate your name. The promises that were spoken over you will unfold one by one, not because you forced them, but because heaven has declared it is time. And now, after the stretching, after the refining, after the silence, God says, I'm moving. The winds of heaven are shifting in your direction, and everything that was stagnant is coming to life again. You can feel it if you lean in close enough. The atmosphere around you has changed. What was once hard ground is softening. What once resisted you is now yielding. God is no longer preparing you for movement. He's commanding movement. The same God who allowed you to wait is now orchestrating a divine acceleration that will take your breath away. You're about to witness the manifestation of everything he whispered in the dark. The season of stillness has served its purpose. Now, the river of destiny is flowing, and it's flowing fast. When God moves, he doesn't move subtly. He moves suddenly. One moment you're hidden, and the next you're highlighted. One moment you're overlooked, and the next your name is being mentioned in rooms you've never entered. That's the nature of divine movement. It happens without human permission. No man, no circumstance, no delay can stand in the way when God says, now. You've been walking by faith for so long that you forgot what it feels like to see the evidence. But get ready, because visible signs are about to break forth. The same prayers that once felt unanswered are now echoing back as fulfilled promises. The same tears that watered the soil of your faith are now producing a harvest too big for you to contain. When heaven moves, everything connected to you begins to align. The relationships, the opportunities, the resources, they all start to converge with divine precision. It's not coincidence, it's coordination. God has been writing a storyline that's about to converge into one miraculous moment. The people who left you, the ones who misunderstood your purpose, the doors that closed, they were all part of the choreography of your calling. Now, every rejection will make sense because it positioned you for redirection. Every disappointment was the hand of God steering you toward destiny. And now the movement of heaven is confirming what your spirit has known all along. God never stopped working. There's a sound in the spirit realm right now, a sound of release, of breakthrough, of open doors. Angels are being dispatched. Instructions are being carried out. The things that were once tangled are being untied. The blockages that seemed immovable are being lifted. You are stepping into a realm where favor flows freely, where prayers manifest effortlessly, and where God's hand is visible on every detail of your life. The same God who allowed you to wait is now releasing you with power. You will not move in weakness. You will move in strength. You will not move in confusion. You will move in clarity. You will not crawl out of this season. You will soar out of it. The Spirit of God is saying, I'm making up for lost time. Every year you thought was wasted, every opportunity you thought was missed, every delay that broke your heart, He's redeeming it all. You're about to step into a season where time itself bows to divine command. The blessings that took others a lifetime to receive will come to you in accelerated form, not because you are better, but because you were faithful. You stayed when others quit. You believed when it didn't make sense. You endured when quitting would have been easier. And now God is rewarding faith that refused to faint. The seeds you planted in tears are about to burst forth in abundance. Every not yet you received was only building the momentum for this very now. When God begins to move, you'll know it. There will be undeniable signs. Favor will begin to chase you. The right people will appear out of nowhere. Doors you didn't knock on will swing open. You'll find yourself at the right place at the right time. And even you will marvel at how perfectly everything falls into place. This is not luck. This is divine orchestration. The same God who moves galaxies in perfect rhythm is moving circumstances for your good. He's been behind the scenes the entire time, shifting details, rearranging paths, and preparing the hearts of those assigned to help you fulfill your calling. And it won't just be movement around you, it'll be movement within you. Your spirit will come alive again. The fire that was once dim will reignite. Dreams you thought had expired will start breathing again. You'll feel courage returning to places where fear had taken root. You'll start hearing God clearly again because His movement clears the airwaves. Confusion lifts, clarity descends, and everything suddenly begins to make sense. You will see why He made you wait, why He isolated you, why He closed certain doors, because now you're not just ready for the blessing, you're ready to carry it with wisdom and authority. God's movement doesn't come to entertain you. It comes to establish you. It doesn't just bless you, it transforms you. The move of God is never random. It's purposeful, prophetic, and precise. When He moves everything, the atmosphere, your heart, your resources, your relationships. And what used to be out of reach suddenly falls into your hands. What was once a promise now becomes a possession. You will stand in rooms you once only dreamed about. You will speak words that carry heaven's authority. You will walk through doors that were sealed to everyone else because they were reserved for you. This movement is not ordinary, it's supernatural. You'll find that things you struggled to make happen before will now come easily. Grace will do what grind could not. Divine flow will replace frustration, and as God moves, He will move through you turning your testimony into a signpost for others who are still waiting. You will become living evidence that when God decides it's time, no power in hell can delay his will. The waiting was the setup, the preparation was the foundation, but this is the move. God is no longer talking about doing it, he is doing it. The heavens have shifted, the decree has been spoken, and the manifestation has begun. What's about to unfold will not be gradual, it will be glorious. You're about to experience momentum that makes up for years of stillness. Every closed chapter will now make sense in the light of what's opening before you. God has taken the pen of destiny back into his hand. And he's writing a chapter so beautiful, so miraculous, that even your past pain will have to bow before it. This is not a rumor. This is not a prophecy for another time. This is the movement of God unfolding in your life right now. When God begins to move, he's not simply inviting you to observe. He's calling you to position yourself, because movement without positioning leads to missed moments. You can't just stand still and expect the wave to carry you. You must step into alignment with what God is doing. Heaven has released a call to those who have ears to hear and hearts to respond. Get in position. This is not the time to hesitate, question, or analyze. This is the time to activate your faith and prepare for acceleration. God is about to do in days what you thought would take decades, but you must be ready to move when he says, Joe, the waiting refined you, but now obedience will define you. The same faith that sustained you in the stillness must now propel you in the movement. Positioning means readiness, not in your emotions, but in your spirit. It means letting go of distractions that drain your focus and habits that hinder your growth. You can't carry old baggage into a new breakthrough. You can't cling to what's comfortable and expect to walk in the extraordinary. The children of Israel could not enter the promised land thinking like slaves. They had to think like sons and daughters of the Most High. Likewise, you must shed the identity of the one who waited and embrace the identity of the one who's walking into destiny. This is not the time to say, maybe later. This is the moment to declare now or never, because heaven's calendar has turned and your name is written on this season. Acceleration requires alignment. God will move fast, but he won't skip order. You have to be in the right place with the right posture at the right time. This is where your faith becomes action. This is where prayers become plans and plans become performance. When God moves, he partners with the prepared. He looks for those who have cleared the clutter of doubt and are standing ready to receive instructions. He's looking for the ones who will say, "Here am I, Lord, send me." Because this next level isn't coming to those who are passive. It's coming to those who are positioned. You can't afford to sleep when heaven is awake on your behalf. You can't sit still when the Spirit is stirring. You have to prepare like it's already happening, because it is. When the rain was about to come, Elijah sent his servant to look 7 times. Every time the servant came back with nothing, Elijah told him to go again. He wasn't waiting in frustration. He was waiting in faith, expecting movement. And when that small cloud appeared in the distance, Elijah told his servant, "Go and tell Ahab to prepare his chariot." Why? Because when the cloud appears, you don't have time to start preparing. You should already be ready. That's where God has you now. You've seen the cloud, you've felt the wind, you've sensed the shift. The signs are already here. Now it's time to prepare your chariot, your mindset, your faith, your obedience for the downpour that's coming. The delay was preparation, but the next phase is participation. There is a divine speed that comes when obedience meets timing. When you move in sync with heaven, time bends to your favor. You'll accomplish in months what others took years to complete. You'll step into rooms you didn't even apply to enter. You'll experience growth that doesn't make sense by natural standards. That's what happens when acceleration hits your life. Your obedience becomes the key that unlocks overflow. God is saying, if you'll move, I'll multiply. But he can't multiply what you refuse to move on. So if he told you to build it, start now. If he told you to speak it, speak now. If he told you to sow it, sow now. Delayed obedience is still disobedience, and this window of favor won't wait forever. Positioning also means expectation. You have to believe that something powerful is already happening, even before you see the evidence. Expectation is the magnet that pulls manifestation out of the invisible. It's the posture of faith that says, I don't need to see it to believe it. I believe it until I see it. When you wake up each morning expecting God to move, you create a spiritual atmosphere that attracts miracles. Heaven responds to expectation. God is drawn to faith like fire is drawn to oxygen. And when your faith aligns with his timing, acceleration becomes inevitable. You won't have to chase blessings. Blessings will chase you. You won't have to fight for opportunities. They'll locate you because you're aligned with heaven's flow. You've got to clear your environment of anything that contradicts your new season. This includes people who drain your energy, environments that dull your spirit, and thoughts that limit your potential. You can't move fast while carrying unnecessary weight. Some of what you lost in the waiting season was not punishment, it was pruning. God was trimming dead branches so that when acceleration came, you wouldn't snap under the pressure of increase. Don't mourn what he removed. Celebrate that he made room for what's about to grow. Every subtraction was preparation for multiplication. The oil of acceleration is being poured out on those who are positioned in purity and purpose. You can't fake readiness. God knows the difference between those who are desperate for attention and those who are devoted to assignment. This is not the season for performance, it's the season for purpose. He's not looking for the loudest voices, he's looking for the most surrendered hearts. And when he finds those hearts, he releases divine favor that catapults them forward. What used to be slow will suddenly move at lightning speed. What used to be locked will swing open. What used to resist you will now recognize you because your spirit carries the mark of divine timing. Positioning yourself means being in alignment, not just externally, but internally. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, all must agree with what heaven is saying. You can't speak doubt and expect faith results. You can't entertain fear and expect victory. You have to train your tongue to speak destiny. Every word you release should be a seed that feeds your future. Speak as if it's already done, because heaven has already signed it. God's movement requires your agreement. As soon as you say, Yes, Lord, things begin to shift. As soon as you move, Haven multiplies your momentum. You won't have to strive, you'll simply flow. You won't have to prove, you'll just be positioned. This is the season to step boldly, not timidly, not fearfully, boldly, because boldness is the language of those who trust God completely. You're not waiting for confirmation, you are the confirmation. You're not waiting for the perfect moment. God's already declared this moment perfect for you. Everything you've been through has prepared you for this exact acceleration. The pain, the pruning, the process, it all led to this point. And now God is saying, move forward, take territory, occupy your promise. The doors that once intimidated you are now open to your command. The opportunities that once seemed impossible are now divinely aligned. You are positioned for overflow. You are standing in the place where purpose meets power, and nothing can stop what's been set in motion. This is the moment to walk boldly into everything God has promised you. You are no longer the person who was waiting, hoping, wondering when it would be your turn. You have crossed over from expectation to manifestation. The time for hesitation is over. The time for questioning is over. You've been equipped, refined, and anointed for such a time as this. The waiting season built your strength. Now it's time to walk in that strength. The same God who held you together in the darkness is now calling you into the light. You've been hidden long enough. Now you will be revealed. You've been in the background long enough. Now heaven is pushing you to the forefront. This is not arrogance. This is divine confidence. You are not walking in your own power. You are walking in God's promise. Every step you take now carries the weight of destiny. You are not just walking into opportunities. You are walking into divine appointments. You're walking into rooms where your presence itself is a fulfillment of prophecy. You're walking into conversations that will unlock new dimensions of favor. You're walking into territories where your feet are claiming promises that were spoken over your bloodline long before you were born. The season of wondering when has turned into the season of declaring now God is moving, and you are the vessel through which he will demonstrate his power. So lift your head high. You are not entering empty handed. You are carrying oil, grace, wisdom, and authority that were formed in the fire of your trials. You no longer need to look back. What's behind you has served its purpose. Every failure taught you something. Every heartbreak built endurance. Every delay increased your discernment. You are wiser now, stronger now, sharper now. The scars you carry are not signs of defeat. They are proof of survival, proof that you endured what was meant to destroy you. Those scars are now your credentials. They are the evidence that you can handle what God is entrusting you with next. When people see you walking in confidence, they'll have no idea what it took for you to get here. But you'll know that every tear, every test, every lonely night was worth it, because the glory you are stepping into now will overshadow the pain you came out of. You must walk like you belong, because you do. You must walk like heaven itself endorses your every step, because it does. You must walk like the promise is already fulfilled, because in the realm of the Spirit, it already is. This is your appointed time. You are the evidence of God's faithfulness. You are the manifestation of prayers spoken years ago. You are walking proof that waiting on God is never in vain. Every moment you thought was wasted was actually invested into your transformation. You are not just walking into your blessing. You have become the blessing. Everywhere your foot treads, favor will follow. Every door you approach will sense the authority of divine timing and open wide. Don't let fear whisper to you that you're not ready. Fear always shows up at the door of destiny, trying to disguise itself as caution. But God has not brought you this far for you to doubt now. The same faith that carried you through the wilderness will carry you into the promise. The same hand that sustained you when you had nothing will establish you when you have everything. You don't need to understand how it will all unfold. You only need to walk. The steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord, and your steps are now synchronized with his. Every movement you make is prophetic. Every choice you make in faith is a declaration that you trust God more than you fear failure. As you walk forward, the supernatural will begin to accompany you. Doors will open without effort. The right people will appear at the right time. Opportunities will seem to find you rather than you finding them. That's what it looks like when heaven moves with you. You will no longer need to force outcomes. You'll simply flow in divine rhythm. What was once a struggle will now feel like grace. What was once impossible will now be natural, because when God moves, everything around you has to move too. Resistance gives way. Obstacles dissolve. Even your enemies will be at peace with you, because your presence carries divine authority. You will walk into rooms and shift atmospheres. You will speak and chains will break. You will act and results will manifest, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you. And remember, this boldness is not pride. It's prophetic fulfillment. You're not boasting in yourself. You're boasting in the God who never failed you. You're declaring by your walk that his promises are true, his timing is perfect, and his plan is unstoppable. You're living proof that obedience opens doors that effort never could. You've crossed the threshold where waiting becomes walking and walking becomes winning. Heaven has already gone before you to prepare the way, and angels are behind you to guard your progress. You are surrounded, sustained, and strengthened by divine presence. So walk even when you can't see the whole path. Walk when the next step feels uncertain. Walk when doubt tries to whisper that you're not qualified. Because every step you take is a statement of faith that says, I believe God has gone before me. And as you walk, you will begin to see the invisible become visible. Promises will materialize, favor will multiply, and destiny will manifest right before your eyes. This is the moment you've been prepared for. The waiting season is over. The promise is active. The blessing is moving, and you, chosen, anointed, and ready, are walking into your divine inheritance.